Okay, continue with Mechiras Chametz to explain a little bit how does the sale work? You're selling Chametz to the guy. Now, normally when you sell something to somebody, they pay money for it, and then they pick it up and they acquire it, or they take it home, or if it's an animal, you pull the animal, what's called Meshicha. So now you have Chametz in 100 people's houses, and you have to make sure halachically that the guy halachically acquires the Chametz. And by the way, Paskim right, even if it's not correct according to civil law, it doesn't matter, as long as according to Torah, the sale is a sale. So now the question is, how do you make sure the Chametz gets to the guy? So number one, there's a number of kinyonim that you do, acquisitions. But before that, let's say, for argument's sake, the Chametz is worth $1,000. The guy is not giving you $1,000. The guy is giving you $20, $50 as a down payment, and then the rest, the guy will have to pay. Okay, what's called Zakav Milva. It becomes a loan. The problem with that is, the Alter Rebbe is a very big chiddush. It's the Alter Rebbe's chiddush. The Alter Rebbe writes that later on, it's known, he starts off by saying, it's known in the world of halacha that many documents of the Rishonim were revealed in later years. Many, we know, there are many even till today. They find in who knows where pages of Rishonim that we didn't have earlier. So it's known, it says that there are many opinions that they found later on that hold that if a guy buys something for a certain amount and the rest is a loan, according to certain opinions, it's not valid. No, because you can't have a loan as a kinyan by a guy. So the Alter Rebbe comes up with a big chiddush that's called Artiv Kablan. Artiv Kablan means like this. There's two types of guarantors in a loan. Normally, I lend you $1,000, I want a guarantor. So he becomes a guarantor for you. Now, a regular guarantor means I go to you first. You don't have the money, then I go to the guarantor. That's what's called regular Artiv. Artiv Kablan means I go straight to the guarantor. I don't even go to the person. I lent you $1,000, and he is your Artiv Kablan. That means he becomes in the place of the person that borrowed the money. I go straight to him. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe says that when you sell Chametz to the guy, because the guy is not paying for all the Chametz, the rest becomes a loan. That loan should be taken over by another Jew. And that Jew is called Artiv Kablan. Which means that let's say I want to use you as my Artiv Kablan in the Mechira. So there's the Alter Rebbe has a special document called the Shtar Artiv Kablan. And I make a kinyan with you and you sign your name that you are responsible for the entire amount of money that the guy owns. And the guy knows that. It's written in the document of the sale that this and this person is going to be the total guarantor for the loan. So then, the halacha is the loan aspect of it works, according to all opinions. Even though he's not paying all the amount of money and the rest is a loan, but it's not called the guy's loan anymore. It becomes the Artiv Kablan's loan, and therefore it's all straightened as far as that's concerned. So how do you sell the Chametz to the guy? There's another problem.
So this person needs to be wealthy.
No, it says even if he's broke.
But he cannot guarantee it.
He can guarantee it.
But then he cannot pay it.
So that's a different story. It's a different story. But he's says in Shulchan, even though he has no money, you're allowed to, not Shulchan doesn't talk about it. But the boss, even if he doesn't have money, he's allowed to be the Artiv Kablan. By the way, you say Matonas Avyanim and Purim, if you write a check on Purim for poor people, it says in Allah, even though there's no money yet to cover in the bank, but you will make it good, so then it's considered he gave the money on Purim. So there is a thing like that. But the question is like this. If I want to sell this to you, okay, so let's say it's $10. You give me $10. you didn't acquire this by giving me the money. Because you can't acquire, whether it's rabbinic or biblical, is a big argument in the Gemara. You can't acquire tangible items with money. You can't. You can't acquire tangible items with money. So technically, if I say to you, I'm going to sell you this thing for $10, and you give me $10, I could change my mind. The Mishnah Bava Metzia says you get cursed, mishapara, because you didn't keep your word. But halachically, you did not acquire it, you could change your mind, I could change my mind, and that's it, because I didn't acquire it. Once you acquire something, you can't change your mind. So the question is, how is the guy going to acquire all the tangible chametz that you have in your house? He's not coming to your house and picking it up. How does he kaina it? The money is not enough. So another thing that you do, there's a din in halacha like this. It's called kinyan agav karka. If I sell you land, which is acquired by money and documents, and on the land, or not even on the land, somewhere else, there's tangible items. Because you acquire the land, you automatically acquire the tangible items also. It's called kinyan agav karka. By acquiring land, you can acquire the metaltalin also. So what do we do in the Mechidas Chametz? This everybody does. You rent, because it doesn't matter renting or selling. When you rent something, you also acquire the land. So what you do is, you rent to the guy the land that the Chametz is on. He's renting it from you.
So you're saying, like, if you have like a crumb of bread on the floor, like the piece of land that the Chametz is laying on.
You don't sell a crumb.
No, but I'm saying the land.
Let's say you have a pantry. You have a room full of chametz.
Yeah.
You rent them that land.
The land that the pantry's under.
Yeah, the land. That land. You're not renting your whole house. You're renting them because you want to be a shower with mezuzahs. You'd have to take them off, put it back on. Anyway, that room you're renting to him. And by him renting that land, he's acquiring all the metaltalin. Which means, when you're dealing with the guy, you're doing two things. Number one, you're selling him the chametz, and you're renting him all the place where the chametz is on. Even if the chametz is not on that place, it doesn't matter. You're renting him the place where the chametz is on.
So you're charging rent, you're asking for a rent, right?
Yeah. In other words, I'll tell you the way, in the practical sense, the way I do it here, because there's a lot of chametz being sold. So I give the guy, right before, I give him $200 bills. Okay? And he knows this is a gift for you. You're going to have to pay me $100 for the chametz down payment. And you're going to have to pay me $100 down payment for the rent. Down payment for the rent because it's not tangible anymore. You're talking about land. Right? So when the guy gives me the money, he's giving me $100 down payment for the rent, and he's giving me $100 down payment for the chametz. So now you have like this. You have transaction of money, plus you sell, because you're renting the land, he's acquiring the chametz by acquiring the land. Plus you have the document of the mechiras chametz, which is a legal transaction of a document. Plus you do a handkerchief kinyan chalipin. Okay, he gives you the handkerchief. And then you also do a kinyan mafteach. Because halachically, if I sell you a house and I give you the key, that's a kinyan. So I give a guy the key to my house as a kinyan, not only that he can get in, but actually as a kinyan in the actual sale.
So who's our Kapha?
Huh?
Who's our Kapha?
Okay, now the only problem with the art of Kabbalah is it can't be somebody who sells you the chametz. Because if he sells you the chametz, he doesn't have an art of Kabbalah. He can't be an art of Kabbalah for himself. So you have to get somebody that either doesn't need to sell chametz, because he's a yeshiva bachar, or a guy that sells his chametz to somebody else.
Where are you going to find a guy who sells to somebody else?
Okay, so in the past, there were always guests from out of town that sold their chametz out of town. So a number of years I used one guy who always came to visit his family for Pesach, and he sold his chametz. He was in Minnesota at the time. And then I sold it to another guy who lived in Pittsburgh who came to visit his relatives. So then I used to use these guys from out of town who sold the chametz anyway out east. So then they were my Arav Kabbalah, so that wasn't the problem. The only problem with Arav Kabbalah is the guy that is the Arav Kabbalah has no Arav Kabbalah to guarantee his share of it. Don't forget, you're selling it as an agent. But lately I use the yeshiva bacher
In the East Coast.
that doesn't have to sell his chametz. What?
If he's here for Pesach, he's supposed to sell it here.
No, you can sell it there, it doesn't matter. As long as he doesn't sell it to me.
Yeshiva halacha, like in yeshiva.
But you told me that I should sell it in Orlando.
The last few years I used Tzvi. No, because Tzvi,
It's
Now-
family member.
now.
It's another line.
no, he's still,
So like now-
what?
If you go back east, you have to sell it over there.
Yeah, but they're coming here.
But they also have to sell it there, not instead of that, no?
No, they can only, they can eat.
What's the time difference?
If you're going here to out east, you have to sell the chametz out east. If you're coming from out east here for the entire Pesach, you can sell it here or out east, it doesn't matter.
Oh, because by the time you're not going to make it.
Correct, it doesn't, right.
So if Zvi does it, for sure then he has to make sure that he has no chametz in his yeshiva door.
I told you, Bachrim don't have any
So
chametz.
you don't have like a bag of food in your house?
It belongs to the parents.
A bag, like a candy?
When the Mishnah Bava Metzia says the possessions of a cotton belongs to the father.
It's not a cup.
1 second. Isn't there two opinions in the Gemara? Rabbi Yechon Shlakish, does cotton mean cotton mamish or mean semech al shulchan aviv? If you're supported by the father, and that's the halacha by the way, if you're supported by the father, you have a din of a cotton that whatever you own belongs to the father.
So what age is that? What age is that Kapha?
When you get married
No, but
or
you
move
could be-
out.
You could be a younger man and still be supported by your father.
No, but once you're married, it's a different thing. Halachically, it's different. Yeah, it's
Saying
different.
Even though you're being
And a chanami, but still it doesn't have the same din. So the bill, if there's somebody else from out of town, I'll use them. I mean, it doesn't, whoever it is, he's there, and you have to get somebody that's there, and it doesn't need to sell chametz to me. And it can't be another Lubavitch in the city because it all goes through me anyway. So all the places. So,
to the end of the line, though.
hey Tzvi, we just mentioned you as Arav Kabbalah.
Zvi has no chametz, and that's literal. He has no chametz.
Okay. Anyway, what?
You have a kinyan out of karka, so why isn't that enough? Because that is acquiring all this money.
But you do a bunch of kinyanim. You do more to marry it. Yeah, technically, but if you did one kinyan, it would be enough. Like agav karka would be enough. But you do again. You do not only that you do what's called kapha handshake. That you do a bunch of kinyan. You give over the shtar, you give over the money trade. You do a kinyan soda with the handkerchief. You give him the shtar. I said you give him a handshake. You give him a key.
Why do you do all
Now there's an interest. I told you to make sure that it's
all you do through everything? You go through everything.
all those types. It takes 10 seconds. How long does it
No,
take?
I know, but you could technically would be enough to do.
Yeah, but you don't. The minute gets to do it, make sure that it's 100% good.
Where is the paper being held?
All the documents. Now, because the guy is using this Arav Kabbalah document, so I need that document because I have to collect if the guy wants to take the chametz and he doesn't pay, I have to go take Arav Kabbalah. So when Erev Pesach, the guy gives me the money, he also gives me the document of the Arav Kabbalah. Okay, that I hold. He holds all the documents.
And he really takes it, all the documents?
Takes it to his house. And then, technically, if everybody just emails it to me and it's on my email and I tell the guy all the names and addresses are on the email, it's also good. Okay, but Lepel, he takes it to big. He takes it and then when Pesach is over, he comes back with the document, we switch things, and he keeps the money, which is basically, I give him the $200 for his bother, and that's it. What?
So I sell whole entire my house to the goy, so the goy technically can come inside and say this is my home.
You don't sell him the house. You're renting him the room that the chametz is on. Technically, the guy can come in and eat the chametz too. This is. In fact, there's a very interesting minig, and everybody in Chabad used to do it. And then there was a letter from the Rebbe later on that the Rebbe writes the minig on that you don't. Normally, when people sold chametz, everybody gave a key. Everybody made over a key. The Rabban, in New York, the Rabban just have a stack of keys with no names, nothing on it. And they throw it out after Yom Tov. But because you want to be able to allow the guy to come into your house to take the chametz. You're selling your chametz, and you're not going to let the guy in. So halachically, you have to give the guy the key, the ability to get in. But then later, there's a letter from the Rebbe. The Rebbe writes, Lachreina, people don't do it. The Rebbe writes why? Because he has access to it if he wants.
How's he gonna?
But I give him a key to my house as a form of a kinyan. And a few people give me the keys, but that's stam. But that's part of the kinyan. My key that I give him is mamish the kinyan. Yeah.
There's a few people that give a key, right? Like Shachar also gives a key.
Few people used to give a key.
Because
that was the minhag originally, to give a key, it's like to get access to the house.
And also on the shtar, you can't write your address. You have to write specifically where in the house.
In the way we hold, you don't have to write specifically. No, we don't.
If you give him the whole house, it's a shtar with mezuzahs.
No, I'm saying if you're renting him the whole house, you're not renting him the whole house. You're renting him one room. Once he's kind of that room, it's karka. He can all the metalton wherever it is.
So you don't have to write
No.
that one room. You just write the address.
The poskim I saw, the poskim discuss the chayra. If you're renting the house to the guy, why don't you have to take off the mezuzahs and this and the pillows?
Why do you have to take off the mezuzah?
Because now it's the guy's house, but you're not renting him the house, huh?
You're still living there.
I know
You're
Hanami.
in a guy's house, even if you don't pay him rent, it's his house, you still put him as his
Oh, if you're living there. Anyways, okay, to be continued.